I could have danced all night. I could just play that track forever. It's so much fun. Hi guys, how you doing? Nick Jennison. It is the Monday Guitar Show, and this is our first Monday Guitar Show on location in the Lick Library studio. Can't you believe it? We've done tons of these over on the GI channel, but this is our first one coming to you on both channels simultaneously. We're live on Lick Library, we're live on Guitar Interactive Magazine, powered by lessons from Lick Library, gear, reviews, news, all that good stuff from GI. Links down below if you want more of that stuff. Welcome, it's great to have you on board. It's Monday, we're doing the thing that we do on Mondays, which is eat Nando's, which we've already done, and talk about the guitar, which we are yet to do. And we're glad to have you on board for it. So if you're one of our returning cadre of streamers, Stu Shields. If Stu Shields is watching, if you're one of our returning cadre of stream viewers, that's what I was trying to say. Welcome, it's great to have you back. If you're a new viewer, hey, welcome on board. I usually don't get my words mixed up like that, but I have just had Nando's. It's great to have you. We're gonna aim to give you some tools today that are gonna help you optimize your practice sessions. Because let's face it, we're all busy people here, right? We've all got stuff going on. It's not always easiest to find the time in the day to practice. When you do find a bit of time in your day to practice, when you carve out that 30 minutes or however long, you know, it can be a challenge to kind of figure out what you should be practicing. What should I be working on? How do I know that I'm making the best use of my practice time? What if the grass really is greener on the other side? Should I be practicing my technique? Should I be working on improvisation, fretboard visualization? You have questions, we hopefully have some answers for you, but we actually have literal answers to your questions because we're going to be doing a literal Q&A session as we always do at the end of this stream. So if you have questions, stick around, drop your questions in the comments. We will address as many of them as we possibly can going forward. So a little bit about our sponsors, if you want to call them that for the day. I want to tell you a little bit about GI Plus, which is the lessons that we had been hosting on the Guitar Interactive site. They have now officially migrated across to Lick Library. So Lick Library members, you now have access to all of the lessons that have ever been published in Guitar Interactive Magazine, a whole bunch of new content too. If you are a GI Plus subscriber, you have automatically been added to Lick Library, right? So you have an email detailing how you get onto your Lick Library account. If you already have a Lick Library account, you don't need to do anything. Go and log in, you're good. If you don't already have a Lick Library account, you should have instructions in your email how to go and get those lessons. Any questions, send an email to playersupport@licklibrary.com. That's my man Stu Shields, who I was trying to shout out before in a Nando's fueled stupor. Send an email to this address if you have any questions about this whatsoever. So, before we get into the meat of today's session, let's say some hellos. We got a load of friends watching. I want to know from you guys, by the way, because we're live on both channels. I want to know from you. Let me know in the comments, are you watching on the Guitar Interactive YouTube channel or on the Lick Library channel? Let us know in the comments. We want to know which channel you're watching on. We're live on both. We want to bring these two communities together. First through the door is not Marcin. Can you believe it? Our first through the door is let me get this right, Suntanu Official, a first-time commenter, I think, certainly on these shows. It's great to have you on board. Thanks for joining us. Says, can't wait for another life-changing live stream. Hey, man, we're going to try our best. Life-changing, who knows? But certainly guitar practice changing, that is the objective. Larry Warren is here. Larry, it's great to see you. Response Audio is in the house. Says, hey, Nick, hey, guys. I'm waiting for the hey, Marcin, but Marcin was a little late on the draw today. He's normally our first one in. He is the champion at this stuff. Hey guys, hope you're all having a great Monday so far. It's been pretty good for me, man. Been playing a bunch of guitars. We've got an exciting day lined up tomorrow, looking at some more guitars in central London. I'll maybe tell you about that later, but we'll figure that out. Justin Ray is in the house. Crankatom is tuning in from the Netherlands on his travels once again. Got his new PRS Tremonti SE with him, ready to practice. Great guitar, fine choice. We do love the Tremonti SEs, they're great. We had a bit of discussion on this a couple of streams ago where some folks were like, oh, I have this new PRS, it's only an SE. We don't use those words here. No such thing as only an SE. SEs are fabulous guitars. I'm lucky enough to hold one of Kim's PRS today. This is an Artist 5 from 2011. Very cool guitar. He happened to have it with him. We're down in the studio and he's like, hey, you want to play the Artist 5 today? I'm like, yeah, no worries. I know Kim's guitar's by colour, so I had to kind of figure out which one it was. And I was like, it's the blue one. Yep, got it. Definitely playing that one. It's killer. If we've got any love for this guitar, let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget, while you're there, give us a thumbs up on whatever platform you happen to be watching on. Justin Ray says, if I'm allowed, I'd like to share a link to a video of my band. It's not only allowed, it's encouraged. Drop it in the comments. We would love to see you. Played a show on Saturday, and it was Saturday. Words. And it was a hell of a lot of fun. Man, I'd love to see that too. I won't be able to watch it on stream, but drop a link because I'll go and check that out once we're off. Timothy Appling is in the house. Great to have you. Still on daylight saving time. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. Marcin is in the house. Daryl Queen is here. Helmet Strap is tuning in. PJ is here. Kate Strange is watching. Steve McD. Mustache Metal is in the house. Mark McNish is here with a question. We're going to highlight this. We'll address this as we go further on. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. There's, hello all, hey Nick, how might I optimize a short warm-up to get the most out of 15 minutes? Get the most out of 15 minutes. We're going to answer that as we go on. Nick Harrison is tuning in. Nick, it's great to see you. Kim is tuning in the past and also the present because Kim is sat right in front of me right now. He's saying hello to everyone. Mika is in the house. Mark Crandall is here. Who else do we have? Timothy Appling, we've already said hello to. Block 18 is here. Eddie Russell is here. Cowcat, Deadman Doogie Van Dugerson. A mouthful. Lovely to have you on board. Ryan Fitzgerald is here. Let's see if there's anybody we've missed. Our friend Panu is here. Mike Seedorf is here. Marcin says, that's a gorgeous guitar. Can confirm. Philippe is in the house. We established it's Philippe and not Felipe, I think, if I remember last time. Zone Zapper is here. I think, oh, Thomas Ross, the Thomas Ross. Chris Davis is here. My friend Elliot Clark is tuning in on Facebook. Hey, it's great to see you. Joe Haley, nice. Eddie Russell says 1976. I can't remember what that was in reference to, but hey, we'll figure that out. But it's great to have you on board. Who else? Sorry now? When the stream started. Oh, when the stream started. That's what it was, yeah. That's literally when the stream started, I'm sure. Mal Riley's in the house. Challenge to practice writing songs. We're going to address that too. We got a load of folks letting us know what channel we're watching on. It seems to be about a 50-50 split. We like a bit of that. So anyway, let's get into the meat of today's session, which is how you optimize your practice sessions. Now, optimize is a sticky word. I'll be perfectly honest with you. We put that in the title and in the thumbnail to get you here. It's a little bit clickbaity because it's kind of one of these buzzwords that's going around in the fitness industry. Doesn't mean that we're not going to get some good stuff for you. So optimize is sticky subject. But what we mean is, by optimize, we want you to get the most out of your practice session. We want to take the amount of time that you've got, which may be 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, maybe an hour, maybe longer, who knows? And we want to make sure that you make the most progress in that session through a couple of concepts that we'll discuss today as we go forward. There's a few of them, but we're going to try and move some big rocks here. Now, what this is all predicated on is what you're wanting to practice. So actually, I need to know from you guys. Let me know in the comments. I have some things that I want to discuss, but let me know what it is that you're wanting to get out of your practice session. Do you want better fretboard knowledge? Do you want better physical technique on the guitar? Do you want a bigger repertoire? Are you trying to learn songs? Do you want to be able to get up and jam with other musicians? Are you working on your expression? Let me know, because I want to address all of these things. But I want to go back to the thing that we talked about 2 streams ago. You can check this out on the playback on both of the YouTube channels that we're currently live on. This was a stream 2 weeks ago on the subject of the 3 things that you must practice when you play your guitar. You must practice. And it was a bit of a trick title, if I'm honest, because it's the only 3 things you can practice, because it's all of playing guitar. All of playing guitar encompassed in these 3 things. Ultimately, what we've boiled it down to is technique, your physical ability on the instrument, knowledge, which involves fretboard knowledge, your ability to see the guitar, your music theory knowledge, your ability to make connections, to connect chords, to scales, etc., etc., etc. And the other one we've broadly termed style, which involves your repertoire, your expression, your ability to write songs, your ability to improvise, all of the expressive and, I guess, creative aspects of playing the guitar. Not to say that the other 2 don't have creative parts to them, but those 3 big rocks, this technique, knowledge, style, as Steve Vai refers to them, hands, head, and heart. I've heard other people refer to them in similar terms. These are the big rocks, right? If you move these 3 boulders, you're going to be making, I think, the progress that you might want to make in the guitar. Now, full disclosure, did get this little definition from our friend Nick Harrison, who's tuning in. Go check out the Creative Guitar Performance Workshop if you haven't done so already. I'm going to ask Nick to post a link in the comments. It's real good stuff, and it sort of supports the thing that we're doing here. Also, while you're on that subject, if you're a Lick Library member, you can check out Nick Harrison's course, Creative Acoustic Guitar, which is available on Lick Library. Really cool course. So we got some folks saying what they want to work on. Syncing hands is a big one. Need to learn songs, mainly theory, technique, e.g. pinky finger pull-offs, syncing up both hands. I feel like learn to play songs makes me a better player faster. Technique mainly, for example. Technique mainly. So a lot of focus on technique, but I think ultimately what we're trying to do here is we're trying to progress on all of these things. Because if you ask somebody really honestly, what do you want out of your practice? Most of the time they're going to say, I just want to be better. I want to be a better guitar player. I want you to tell me what that is, and we'll work on that today. So let's work on the idea that you have a limited amount of time to practice. Now, I feel like personally, you can do a huge amount of practice in a relatively short period of time if you take this big picture approach to moving these big rocks. I keep saying big rocks, but hitting these big points. If you can make sure that you've hit all those 3 things in your guitar practice, this technique, this knowledge, this style, I think you're well on your way to making a whole lot of progress. But another thing we can do is we can skin our practice in such a way that we spend as much time working on these things that are important to us simultaneously as we possibly can. So what we might do is we might take a look at some exercise design. So exercise design is what we do when we practice. I want to know from you guys, who is guilty of sitting down to practice and not really practicing, just playing? We've all done this, right? Let us know in the comments if you have. I am very guilty of this too. You get an hour to practice and you go, I'm going to put a backing track on and I'm going to play. And that's it. And we're going to do some of this now. We've got a cool backing track, grab your guitars, we're going to have a little jam back and forward, right? This is an example of, I guess, non-practice, let's say. It's still fun. We're playing the guitar. It's good. It's contact hours. It's better to do this than to not. But we're going to do this as an example of what it isn't. So we're in the key of D major here. This is our Top Gun style backing track. We'll have a little back and forward just to break the ice a little bit. And then we'll talk some more about how we can turn this into practice. Okay. So in the key of D major, I'm going to kick it off. Take a turn. All good stuff, lots of fun. These are all things that I've played 1,000 times. I feel like these are stock licks for me at this point. But it's cool, you know, I'm having fun, I'm enjoying playing this lovely guitar. Hopefully you are too. I'm gonna take another go, and then we'll actually get down into the practicing. So I'm gonna go like this. Apparently my fingers are still covered in sauce. You take a turn. Nice. So you get the gist. We're sitting, we're doing the things that guitar players do. We sit and we doodle, and it's good fun, right? Nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna come straight out and say, you don't need to be ashamed of that. I feel like that is all good stuff. I'm gonna stop that right there. But what it's probably not doing, it's probably not making the most of our practice time to sit and do that. If you have hours on end to sit and noodle, great, rock on. You probably don't need to optimize your practice time. You have all the practice time in the world to get the results that you want. But for the rest of us who have half an hour, 15 minutes. Oh, we've got lots of comments coming here say they're guilty of this sort of stuff. Marcine's guilty of that. Sacred Godslayer is the opposite. Practices loads, almost never plays. Well, we'll get onto that. Guilty of playing along to the telly. I do a wicked version of the Coronation Street theme. Love a bit of that, right? Love a bit of that. So, let's get a bit more into the meat of stuff. So if we decided we wanted to work on some aspects of our playing with this, we can do some exercise design together. Let's begin by maybe focusing on some technical stuff, some technique things, because a lot of guys have asked about this. We'll do some musical stuff too, but let's say we wanted to use this track to focus on our technique. Well, what we might do is we might begin by taking a look at things that actually physically challenge our technique. So it's very tempting when we work on our technique to find the things that we do easily and hammer those, where you just hammer them a little bit faster, because it feels nice. And we can go over and over and over and over and over again. That's great, that's fine. Don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But what we might do is we might go looking for things that are maybe a bit more challenging. So let's dig into this. Let's construct some exercises together. And I'm gonna do some stuff that I find quite challenging. And I'm sure you probably will too. You may have a much more well-developed technique than me, but I feel like this stuff is at least reasonably challenging for me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look for combinations of fingers that I can play on one string against a different finger on another string. And I'm going to look for this in the context of my D major scale. I'm going to show you one of these right now. So for example, this is probably a good beginning point. If we try playing this real quick, if we play on a cleanish sound, that's a lot of compression. Let me just turn that compressor off because that's pretty aggressive. If we play on the G string, if we play 4, 6, and 7, that should be pretty simple for most folks, I would imagine. If it's challenging for you, that's fine too. We can also scale the speed, but this should be all right. Now, we're going to play this. I'll go back to the big filthy sound. We're going to play this along with our backing track. This should be fairly easy. We're going to look for some things that we can do to make it more challenging. So what I might do is go. Doesn't sound too much like music at this point, but fear not, the music is coming. This should be quite simple at this point, but most guitar players, if it's not, don't worry about it. There's lots of things that we can do. For example, our friend, whose name I'm going to butcher, I'm going to say Tiakelel Cox. I'm really sorry, I'm going to butcher that name, with a great question. We're going to answer this in the Q&A session. So anyway, what we're going to do next is we're going to take the same exercise, we're going to make it a little more challenging by plugging in a finger to this exercise that is not necessarily one that you typically play in this kind of configuration. And we're going to plug in our second finger. I'm going to plop this in on fret number 5 on the D string. And I'm going to look for different places in this exercise where I can play this note right here. I might get something like this. Let's start by putting it at the end. That's probably not too hard. Let's try putting it at the start. Reasonably challenging. Let's try putting it after the second note. Sorry, after the first note. So as the second note. A little more challenging. Let's try putting it after the second note. Oh, that's quite tough. now I have some variations that I can challenge myself with. And what I can do is I can throw my backing track on. I can play along with these. Now, the reason I've chosen this is I know personally that this idea of coordinating a finger on a given string versus the other fingers on a different string is tough. This is just an example of something that feels tough for me. I want you to play along with this, and I want you to pay attention to what happens if you get this, and also if you don't. When we start to speed it up, if you get these moments of, feels like your fingers are kind of getting it, but kind of not, right? That's something we really want to pay attention to. We will get to that. So for the time being, let me throw the backing track on. We're going to try it slow. We're going to put it on the end first. So we're going to get this. It sounds quite nice, actually. It's quite a pleasant sound. Doesn't resolve maybe the way we'd hope, but it kind of works. Okay, let's put it at the start. Again, not making music here. A little bit of technical practice. Let's put it after the first note. Let's go like this. Probably the nicest sounding variation of the bunch. By the time we get to this part of the track, it's really quite cool. Let's put it after the second note. Anyone able to get this? Let me know in the comments. If you can do it, if you can't do it, I want to know. Okay, that's at a slow tempo. Let's try doing it at a faster speed. Let's put it on the end. Let's try going. That's good fun. Let's try putting it at the start. Let's go. Let's try putting it after the first note. Let's go. Let's put it after the second note. This is where I'm going to get these moments. That's hard. Nope, really tough. Can't speed that one up. Now, here's the interesting thing that's going on here, right? So, what I'm hoping for, real quick, what I'm hoping for is, I think James has collapsed because, oh no, here he comes. Here he is. We're still on the hands cam. Hooray! James is here. Hi, James. James is doing the camera switching today. Everyone give James a shout out in the comments. James is our hard-working cameraman and a fine guitar player. He was letting people leave the building. That's what it is. As long as he's not letting people into the building. Now, here's one from Daryl Queen, right? Daryl Queen says, that last one was a booger at speed. Now, the reason I've chosen this is to highlight a very important thing when it comes to practice, especially physical technique practice, which is this moment of getting it but not quite. Where you sort of go, I feel like I've got it but not quite. I feel like I've got it but not quite. So, what? Hoy James, I thought somebody said Andy James there. Great work, James. A lot of love for James in the comments. A lot of love for James in the building as well. So anyway, although some of the love for James has just left the building because he was letting them out. But even still. So this moment, let's go back to this. This moment of like, ooh, my fingers don't quite know what to do. I can sort of play it, but not. This is where the progress lives, right? So this is our first principle of optimizing your practice time, is to chase these moments of, oh, close. Oh, I nearly got it. Oh, I nearly got it, right? If something is impossible, if you're playing an exercise and it's just physically the worst thing in the world, you can't play any of it, probably too hard. But if you're playing something and you never have these moments of, ooh, I nearly got it, ooh, nearly missed it, then you're probably not making the progress that you could be making. The reason for this is the way our bodies learn, and the way our brains learn in terms of skill development. I'm saying everything twice. The way our bodies learn in terms of skill development is by solving problems. So specifically motor problems. Now, motor problems we solve by presenting ourselves with opportunities to figure out movement strategies, like the one I've just done there, a strategy for how I'm going to get from this finger to this finger and back again, for example. Now, this is best done in the guitar by chasing these little combinations of fingers that don't feel as comfortable as all of the others. Here's a fun thing though, here's a fun thing. When you do this, let's say for example it's a combination of these two fingers that we were working on there, this pinky and ring finger coordination. It's a sticky one for everyone. When you get better at moving these fingers, you don't just get better at moving these fingers, you get better at the skill of coordinating all of your fingers. Your body develops that skill of figuring out these motor patterns. It develops the skill of adapting on the fly, and that is what we're chasing. Let's do another one of these. Here's Mark McNish, actually real quick, with a really good one. It says, I've been spending a lot of time in the nuts moment. I've managed to increase my BPM by 20 after a week of consistent practice. Pretty big, man, pretty big. Mike Seedoff with a great comment says, John Bojork, I don't know how to say the name, that's terrible, has exercises like this with the finger sequences. He mentioned that when playing these, try to maintain on hitting the strings in a fast motion and the placement of your fingers on a note for sure. Procedural memory, says our friend PJ with the motor learning science. Nice, we love a bit of that, but that's basically how this works. We're chasing these moments. Now, what that means to you is to find the things that you find challenging in your playing, confront the difficult bits in your practice. You will make huge headway with your technical practice by confronting this stuff. So let's see some of the things that you guys have said with regards problems with your technical practice. Let's take, who was it that said they were working on hammer-ons and pull-offs between the pinky fingers, the pinky and ring fingers. I'm just looking in the comments. Let me know if this is you, by the way, if you feel like coordination between your pinky and ring fingers is a challenge, and if you feel like, I'm going to find this, if you feel like those pull-offs, in particular, hammer-ons and pull-offs between those two fingers are a big issue. Because I'm going to find that comment. It was up here. I can't find it, but if I do find it, if James finds it, I'm going to ask him to flag it up. But even still, there was one of you guys who raised that as one of the things you were working on, which is this business of hammer-ons and pull-offs between pinky fingers and ring fingers. Let's design some exercises that challenge that. So what we might do is we might begin, we'll go back to our backing track real quick. We might begin with just looking for places where we can play hammer-ons and pull-offs between our third finger and our pinky finger. And maybe we improvise with them. Maybe we just use this as a way to explore. Let's see, maybe a way to explore. So let's say, for example, John Max's hand syncing, we're gonna get to that, right? We'll get to that too. That's a very good and very common problem, a very good suggestion. So let's go to the close-up hands cam. I'm gonna do something here in the key of D major, and let me show you some examples of hammer-ons pull-offs practicing between these two fingers. The most obvious one is just to practice hammer-ons and pulls between these two fingers in isolation, which should be challenging but not tough, not impossible. So for example, I might choose these two notes here and play an ambulance sound. I might choose these two notes here. Lots of fun, that's okay, but what it's not doing is necessarily presenting us the challenge of using these in combination with other fingers. Now, when we get a chance to set this stuff up, when we get a chance to, it was Steve McD, that's what it was. I knew it was someone, it was Steve McD with the question. Now, this is not necessarily a challenge to us in isolation. If we sit down and we go, you guys who have trouble with this stuff, you should be able to sit down and go, okay, I am gonna do pinky pull-offs to my ring finger. I'm going to do it all day long in this position. That's fine, that's okay, right? But really, it's never a problem on its own. It's a problem doing it in context, problem doing it in amongst other lines. So what we might do is we might set ourselves the task of improvising with a focus on these two fingers, our pinky finger and our ring finger. What might this look like? Well, let me show you a few licks that we might do with this. Let's say we took the D major pentatonic scale. This guy right here. Now that is going to be pinky finger on 10. I'm going to play big shape, small shape, small shape, small shape, big shape. If we take the idea of these two notes 10 and 9 on the high E string being a focus for us, an improvisational focus, we might do ourselves something like this, where I play notes from my D major pentatonic around this pinky pull-off. This is a fun way of not just working the technique, but we also move some of our vocabulary rocks, which we're going to get to in a second. So if we go, let's go. Lots of fun. You take a turn at that. So hammer-ons and pull-offs between 10 and 9 on the high E string, D major pentatonic notes in between those. Our friend Nick is saying motif. Sure is, it's a motif. And it's something fun that I might actually start to move out into some other parts of my improvisation. So we'll do it one more time. I'm gonna go a little bit of this, one more time. You can see those cog turning moments happening. You take a turn, I'm going to start to move this a little bit further. So that is our pinky finger and hammer and pull off. So far, everything has been with the hammer-ons and pull-offs this side of the rest of the hand. But what if we put them here on 12 and 11 on a D string? That was tough. Maybe I found a little weakness in my own playing. That's good fun. What if you take a turn, by the way. You take a turn on this stuff. So that should be a really cool way to do this. However, what if I then carry on and do something else where I take the same idea, but this time what maybe I do is maybe I take this process and just start looking for other parts in the scale where I can play it. This is maybe a little more advanced. For you guys who are really looking for the next level on this stuff, now that is not only fun and challenging for the technique, but I'm also getting some licks out of this that I might use, which leads me to the next thing, which is you can work on your technique while still working on your repertoire, your style, and on your fretboard knowledge. How do we do this? Well, the best way to work on a fretboard knowledge, I think personally, is to explore the guitar's neck with time constraints. Why time constraints? Well, the thing with time constraints is, let's say, the thing with time constraints is it forces us to find things on the guitar, in time. A good example of this is a classic Joe Satriani exercise where he would do this sort of business where he would play, it's an exercise for memorizing every note on the string. Every note on the guitar, rather. Sorry, do apologize. I'm trying to read comments and say things at the same time. And apparently I'm not awake enough for that today. I'm quite tired, but that's okay. I'm having a good time. Now, and I've also had some Nando's, which is also a good time. So anyway, what he would do is he would take a tempo, and the challenge would be to play every C on every string on the guitar in time. So you might get... Do the same with G's. Why G's? Well, it's the cycle of fifths, circle of fifths if you prefer. So on and so forth. Do D's next, A's, etc. The fact that it's in time forces your hand. It forces you, we're going to do an example of this in a second. It forces you to reach for things in the moment. You don't get time to sit and go, where is it? oh, it's there. This is the same deal as embracing that kind of, is it kind of moment that we have with our technique. We're doing the same for our fretboard knowledge here by imposing time constraints on finding things on the guitar's fretboard. So imposing time constraints, doing things in time, it's real important. Let's do an example of this. What we're going to do now is we're going to play an exercise where we find notes on a guitar's fretboard. We're going to play a note in a given position. Your job is then to play that note in a different position. We're going to start with D. What might it look like? Here's a dry run. We might go something like this. We might go D. Then we might go to 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 D. The only rule is, once you've played one, you can't play the same one again. Now, let's try this at speed. It won't always be Ds. We're going to start with Ds. We'll go to F sharps. We'll go to As. The time constraint is real. So, then we're going to combine this with some technical practice. So, let's go like this. D, and again, and again. This is the pace we're going at. Finding Ds. You can play any D that you want. You can play harmonics if you like. Just looking for Ds on the guitar. Open string. Oh, that wasn't a D. Open strings are okay. I wasn't paying attention. Let me know if this is something you're able to keep up with. There's a harmonic. There's another one. Okay, we're going to change. In a second, we're going to go to A's. Oop, I was reading ahead. A's, ready? Ready? A's, here we go. You will never be short of A's once you've done this for more than a few minutes. We can thank Joe Satriani for this. This is very much one of his. Now, let's switch between D's, F sharps, and A's. We're going to go like this. We'll go D, 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 F sharps. Now A's. Why D's, F sharps, and A's? Let me know in the comments. D, F sharps, A's, D's. That was a nice D to finish on. Okay, going a bit further, say it regards flavor of the triads. You're absolutely right. Okay, D major triad it is. Let's do it again, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to play D's, F sharps, and A's. The rule is you can play any D, any F sharp, any A, but you must play one, then the other, then the other. You can jump as far as you want. You can jump as wide up and down the fretboard as you like. Let's start with D. Ready? Here we go. Let's play a D, F sharp, A, 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 D. You get the idea? Okay, now, here's the thing. This would not be anywhere near as much fun and anywhere near as effective if we just sat and looked for D's, F sharps, and A's. The time constraint, the panic of, I gotta find a D, I gotta find an F sharp, I gotta find an A, is what makes it work. That's what makes it fly. Now, this is really, really cool stuff because not only is it fun because you play along with the track, you get to hear stuff in music, so you get to develop your ear, you get to develop your style, you get to develop your sensibility of, hey, do I like this? Is this a cool sound? You get to work on your vibrato a little bit. You're also working on your fretboard knowledge. You can do so much stuff in 5 minutes with this. 5 minutes with this exercise. You can do loads for your fretboard visualization, your fretboard knowledge, learning where the notes are, let's say. Learning the notes of the guitar is a big deal. A lot of people struggle with it. This is a really good way to do it. Pick some, but also, not only that, we've learned our triad arpeggios, and not only have we learned triad arpeggios as rote shapes, this is the really important bit, is we haven't just memorized them, we've discovered them. We've learned how to locate try out arpeggios, rather than just memorizing it. Marcin says stealing it. You can't steal it because it doesn't belong to me. It's yours, right? So stealing is not the word. You can have it. This is why we do this. So anyway, now, this is really, really cool, because if you are discovering musical concepts like this, they stick, because we've gone through that process of, this moment of, oh, is it right? Oh, who knows? We're chasing that skill learning, that memory developing moment of figuring it out, solving the problem, which is way better than sitting and just learning shapes. You will find the shapes and you'll know them forever. That's the idea. This is really cool and really, really exciting stuff, I think. Now, let's go a step further and let's see if we can combine this with some technique practice, Here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna play the same deal. We're gonna freely move around our guitar's neck. You can play whatever you want. You can play as few notes as you like. The only rule is at the head of every bar, bop, we're gonna play a D. Head of every bar, we're gonna play a D. Boop, just like this. Boop, here we go. So at the head of every bar, it's a D. You can play whatever you want. The other rule is everything else we're going to play is going to be eighth notes. Like that. So we get the following. Well, this might be quarter notes, actually. Let's figure it out. Oh, it's quarters. So every 2 bars we'll play a D. So we'll go like this. We'll go D, 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 You can play whatever you want along with this. I'm going to give you some opportunities to do this, but you may be wondering, where's the technical challenge? You said it was going to be a technical challenge. Well, it is a technical challenge. Here is the technical challenge. This is one I've stolen from our man, Nick Harrison, right? This is a dynamic control exercise. And dynamic control is one of the things that is crucial to develop, not just for your tonal and expressive needs, but also for your control of your right hand technique. If you have control of your dynamics, you have control of your picking, I think. And you know, we can thank Nick Harrison for this. Stole this from him. Again, steal on that. And don't be afraid to steal from folks, as long as you tell people where you got it from. That's all I'm gonna say. Nick Harrison says, steal away, my friend. I'll steal, but I'm gonna give you the credit. So what we're gonna do is, this is the challenging bit, is when we play the D, we're going to accent it. We're going to play it as loud as we can. What does this mean? It means all of the other notes have to be quiet. So all the other notes quiet, this note loud. D's are loud, floor is lava. D's are loud, all the other notes quiet. It will train your ability to play quiet notes. It will train your ability to play loud notes, train your ability to play in time, train your fretboard knowledge, train your ability to locate a D note. We're going to change it to F sharps in a bit, by the way. And then we'll see where we get to. It's a really fun exercise. Let's have a go. Okay, so D at the head of every 2 bars. Every other note quiet. D. I'll maybe pick a different sound. D. D. There you go. That's it with Godslayer. Always be able to find your D's, guys, especially in the restroom. Ba-bum tish. Now, I want to do this together, so I'm going to hit you guys up. We're going to take it from the top. Here we go, right from the beginning. I'm going to play the D with you. I'll play a D with you. You're going to play a D nice and loud. 3, 4. Every other note quiet. Here we go. You don't have to play the same D as me, just to show you when. One more time, loud. Every other note quiet. Every other note must be quiet. This tempo. Playing consistent quarter notes. D. Now here's what I want to know from you guys. I want to know in the comments, is this something? Nick Harrison, this is a tough one. It is a tough one. It's deliberately tough. I'm gonna go. You get the gist, right? Okay, here's the thing. I want to know from you guys, what was difficult about that exercise? Let me know what you personally found difficult, because some of you will have found some parts of it challenging. Some of you will have found other parts of it challenging. Some of you will have found it all very challenging, but it's scalable. If you only know where one D note is, it's cool. It means you can hit that D every time. If you know where all of the D notes are, you can hit those D notes wherever you like. We chose D major as well because it's not necessarily the most common of keys. I actually sat down with Kim and jammed this track before we went on. Kim plays really well, and he's very self-deprecating about this stuff. As did Guitar Interactive Editor-in-Chief Jonathan Graham, also a fabulous guitar player who was also being let out of the room by James earlier on, and also had Nando's. It was John's idea actually, so yeah, cheers John. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, and the first thing Kim said when I said we're in D major is he went, ooh. Well, that's me effed up, because D major, not that common a key. He did great. He did just fine. But the reasons we chose this, because we do things in E, we do things in A all the time. Now, what you might struggle with this is you might struggle with timing, playing in time. You might struggle with being able to do consistent eighth notes. You may find that you just stop and you go, oh, I didn't do that. Or you don't play the consistent rhythm. You may find that you don't know ways to navigate your way around the fretboard. You might also think, though, you might also find that you have trouble with things like playing the quiet notes. Most people don't have trouble with accenting things. They might have trouble with accenting things in what am I trying to say? In situ. That's the word. Sorry, I'm reading comments as well, and some of them are really funny. You might struggle with accenting things on command, is the word I'm trying to say. But it can often highlight, when we accent these exercises, how difficult it is to play things softly. Sometimes the soft notes in between are the technical challenge. So what we've done here, we've got a question. It's not really a question, it's an observation from Homus Home. He was a returning streamer. I believe you were with us last week. It's great to have you back. It says, target note lesson. Well, it is, but it's also a challenge on our technique. It's a challenge on our fretboard visualization. It's a challenge on our timing. It's a challenge on our ability to play things that we find interesting, our style, our vocabulary. This, dear friends, is a little insight into how you go about optimizing your practice sessions. Now, what we're doing here, let me boil this down to two things for you, because you might be going, well, give us more of these magic exercises. There are no magic exercises. The exercise isn't what's magic. What's magic here is that we're doing it, chasing those moments of, these kind of like skill learning moments, the problem solving. We're chasing those, and we're also designing exercises that challenge our weaknesses in technique, in knowledge, and in style, the three big pillars of playing the guitar. Thanks, Nick Harrison. I really find other people to credit. By the way, in terms of crediting, this idea of playing things in time, Tom Quayle, that's Tom's exercise. So if you want some Tom stuff, we've got loads of Tom Quayle lessons available on licklibrary.com, including, but not limited to, Tom's Modern Guitar series that was previously available exclusively on GI+. That is now available on Lick Library. If you're a Lick Library member, you know where to go get it. Tom's got some fantastic exercises that you can use for this sort of thing. And he's an example of somebody who knows exactly how to optimize their practice time. So here's what we do. We target our weaknesses, we chase the skill learning moments, we embrace constraints, both time constraints, technical constraints. Do some of this stuff for 15 minutes. I promise you, you will make more progress in that 15 minutes than you would in 2 hours of sitting and noodling over a backing track, playing things that you already know how to play. So that, dear friends, is a little insight into how you optimize your practice time. I could have just said that at minute 1, but it wouldn't have been anywhere near as much fun. So we're going to answer your questions, but before we do, I want to take a second and show you some of the stuff that is available to you on GI Plus on licklibrary.com. Go to licklibrary.com for lessons. Go to guitarinteractivemagazine.com down below for all of the other cool stuff that we do, which is reviews, news, interviews, all that good stuff. You want to know about the latest gear, you want to know what Wolfgang Van Halen played on his previous album, cool rigs, all that sort of stuff. You want to, we've got some great chats coming up, can't wait to share them with you. You want gear news, you want to know what a particular pickup sounds like, we've got all that stuff. You want lessons, go to licklibrary.com where you'll get stuff like this. This is the GI Plus library of lessons that is now available on Lick Library. When we return, we'll be answering your questions. So sit tight, in 2 minutes, we'll be back with your questions. But first of all, check this out. Hi, my name's Nick Jennison, and it's my pleasure to announce that GI Plus, the exclusive lesson platform from Guitar Interactive Magazine, is moving to licklibrary.com. GI Plus features a whole host of the best players and educators in the world, bringing you exclusive lessons on everything from metal to blues to fusion and everything in between. Want to level up your shred chops? Check out How to Play Fast by Andy James. Or how about Sweep Picking with Rick Graham? Or maybe country's more your bag? Well, how about a full-length country guitar course from Andy Wood? Interested in learning how to play over changes? Well, members get access to hours of exclusive lessons from fusion maestro Tom Quayle. Or maybe you want your playing to sound more soulful. Well, who better than Chris Buck to show you how it's done? Members also get access to every lesson ever published in Guitar Interactive Magazine, including Michael Caswell's legendary Pro Concepts column. Or maybe you want to learn the secrets of the masters. Well, members get access to over 70 full-length tech sessions where our tutors painstakingly decode the styles of players like David Gilmour, Eddie Van Halen, John Petrucci, Larry Carlton, Slash, Tosin Abasi, Paul Gilbert, and many more. And you get all of this in addition to all of the amazing content on licklibrary.com, which includes note-for-note tuition of over 60 classic albums, weekly lesson uploads, a backing track library, and one-to-one player support. There has never been a better time to sign up than right now. Welcome back. That is the stuff that you get as a Lick Library member when you go to search for GI Plus lessons. If you're a GI Plus subscriber already, first of all, we want to take this opportunity and thank you for your continuing support over the years. If you're already a Lick Library member and a GI Plus member, then good news, your bill has been consolidated into one smaller bill, which is pretty cool. So all you need to do to get this stuff is just go to Lick Library and log in. If you're not a Lick Library member already, but you are a GI Plus member, we've sent you an email with instructions on what to do. Check your spam folder. Any questions about that, make sure you send an email straight to, pardon me, I coughed, an email to playersupport@licklibrary.com. Tried to stifle a cough there, it didn't work because I don't have my cough button, which I normally do. James is on the cough button today, but I didn't give him enough notice because coughs don't give you notice. Playersupport@licklibrary.com. Anyway, we're going to answer your questions. Here's some real good stuff. So first of all, we're going to take this one from Block 18. He's very kind compliments. Says, brilliant stuff, Nick, but you're a super fast player. What practice did you do to get that way? Well, that's a very good thing. So a very good question. And first of all, I want to thank you for your kind words. That's really kind of you. So what I did to develop my speed on the guitar was it starts with having an idea of what it is that you're trying to play fast. That sounds obvious, right? But if you've, let's say, Let's take a reductio ad absurdum, right? Let's say, for example, that you've bought a new, I don't know, Ferrari. What's a fast car? Ferrari's a cool car, right? Let's say you bought a new Ferrari. It's really fast. And you want to drive that Ferrari really fast. But you have your Ferrari parked in a driveway in your house, and there is no road connected to your house. Nothing out there. It's a driveway. You can drive the Ferrari 6 foot to the end of the drive. You can't go very fast, even though the Ferrari is capable of great speed, because there is no road to drive it on. Reductio ad absurdum, I know, right? But the same is true for guitar. You can move your fingers as fast as you possibly can, but if you don't know where you're going with your fingers, you're not going to be able to play very fast, because we need things to play. So it begins with having a bit of stuff that you can play. Now, what I did with me when I was developing my faster playing is I came across a pet lick. My pet lick was this Randy Rhoads style pattern that I played loads. I'm going to share it with you now. This might be a fun way for you to develop some speed in the guitar. So what I ended up doing was I ended up doing this pattern in octaves. I had this pattern that would read 2, 3, 5 on the low 2 strings, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, with a transition note 2 frets higher on the last string of the pattern. I played the same thing again, the next octave. So it's 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, transition note 2 frets higher. I played 7, 8 and 10, 7, 8, 10, transition note 2 frets higher. Give me this pattern. Now I didn't just take this pattern and play it over and over again, like this. That's fun, cool pattern. What I did instead is I looked for every conceivable way that I could play this pattern. I just looked for, so I might, oh, what if I went like this? What if I went like this? I don't know what that was. I don't think that was the same thing 3 times, but I would look for things like that. I'd be searching for sequences. That felt good. In doing so, I'd look for the ones that felt good and chase them as fast as I could. I would do it to metronomes. I would chase the BPM. I'd do it in time, and I would try and push harder and harder and harder on this sequence with whatever variation I happened to be in love with at the time, and try and push the speed on it. But I would also do other variations, because skill is not developed, as we talked about before, by rote repetition. Skill is developed by close variation. So I'd try and progress as many variations of this exercise as I could, and in turn, started to get pretty fast with this stuff. One other thing, and this is perhaps a little controversial, more of an opinion on this real quick. So this is I guess this is kind of my opinion rather than like the reality of things, but I was willing to forego a little bit of accuracy in pursuit of speed, in the knowledge that I would clean it up later. Now, what I don't mean by this is become the sloppiest player you've ever heard in your entire life, but I was willing to sacrifice just a tiny bit of technical perfection in pursuit of pushing greater and greater speeds, because I don't think I understood this at the time. I think what it was is at the time I was just a bit of an ego-driven young man who wanted to play faster than everybody else. But knowing what I know now, I think what was going on there, realistically, is I was chasing the can't quite get it moments, which we've already talked about. And I got that by playing just a tiny bit faster than I could super cleanly. Now, when I say sacrifice a bit of accuracy, what I don't mean is just turn it into absolute mush. But what I mean is if you don't hit every note super cleanly in the practice room, that's okay. I also think it's okay if you don't hit every note super cleanly in performance, provided your intention is to play everything as cleanly as you can, because humans make mistakes. We've talked about this loads, right? But this is more of a mental health aspect of playing the guitar. Some great videos on that, by the way. Jack Gardner's got a really fabulous one. Sam Bell talks about this all the time. But we are humans. We make mistakes. We make deviations in our movement. Even the most precise and skilled athletes in the world have significant deviation in the technique from repetition to repetition. Look at a gymnast doing, say, for example, the same handspring over and over again. If you overlaid them on top of each other on video and you look closely enough, huge variation. So don't beat yourself up over making little mistakes. Don't feel like everything has to be absolutely perfect before you progress. As long as it's pretty close and you're in that, oh, kind of getting it kind of spot, you're probably good. So there's some tips for that stuff. Here's another good one coming in from our friend Mustache Metal. It says, do you know any other good hacks for learning the notes of the fretboard besides the octave trick? Sure do. Now, what you might do, one of my favorite ones is octave licks. Octave tricks not so much, because to be honest, in terms of octave tricks, if we're talking about playing the octaves up one string, that's kind of it, because to be honest, the notes of the fretboard are where they are. You're not going to be able to not find them in octaves because they exist in octaves. But I know what you're saying. Any other ways that we can approach this? One of my favorite ways to do it is the way we just discussed, which is to locate them in improvisation. But something you can also do is you can make these notes jumping off points. So say, for example, you're playing away and you pick a note, you go, I want to locate E's. I want to locate E's in the key of D major. Well, what you might do is you might go looking for E's to start your improvisation on. Put my D major track on, I might get something like this. So maybe I'll get... What I can also start to do though, is by picking a note that isn't the root note, I can look for notes in relation to other notes. So I can see where D is relative to E, for example, or I can see where E is relative to A, and start to make these connections. That can be a fun thing to do, jumping off points, targeting notes. Other things can be, like transcribing can be fun, but it's not really something that is as instantaneous as some of these other things. So yeah, that is a cool thing. If anybody else has any hacks on this, drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Here is another cool question that's come in, which is one that Reductio ad absurdum, says Nick Harrison. Here's one from Humus House, which is, what is economy picking? Well, that's a big question. I'm gonna finish on this one because it's a cool question. It's one people maybe, yeah. I think we can answer this. I think we can do this in time. Let's set a timer. Jamie, set a timer. It's not that podcast. James, set a timer. It's also not that kind of podcast. So anyway, what is economy picking? So economy picking is a picking approach or a picking strategy. I'm going to share with you a course that we have on GI Plus on picking strategies when we wrap here today. But what it is essentially is the avoidance of outside picking. That's a really weird way of putting it, but let me explain. So economy picking, people will think of in a couple of different ways. Let's go to some close-up hands for this. So if we say, for example, we were picking some notes. I'll go to a cleaner sound for this. I'm not going to go totally clean because I want to give myself an easy time of it. Let's say, for example, we're picking some notes on the E string, A string, D string, G string. Let's say we're picking 3, 5, 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7 on the lowest two strings, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7 on the next two strings. Traditional wisdom would suggest that we would pick it thus. We'd play down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. With economy picking, what we can do is we can play the following. We can play down, up, down. And if you take a quick look at where my pick is here, my pick is resting very, very gently against the A string. So rather than navigating around the A string to pick up with an upstroke, I can carry that movement on down onto my next string. I can do the same here. In a nutshell, this is economy picking in one direction. It's sweeping to get from string to string where you can. However, there are some lines that you just can't economy pick. For example, it's impossible to economy pick lines that travel in one direction without changing direction, i.e. a physical direction, that contain even numbers of notes on a string. If I play 4 notes on a string, it is physically impossible for me to economy pick that because Well, look what happens at the end. My pick is up in the air. I can do it if I do some hammer-ons. That's not really economy picking anymore. So economy picking is when we play with sweeps to change from string to string wherever possible. And then when it's not possible, we play with alternate picking. What this ends up with is it ends up with a picking style that embraces entirely inside picking. What do I mean by inside picking? It's where you pick in between two strings. An example of this would be if we play G string with a downstroke, D string with an upstroke. That would be inside picking, because our pick is inside the strings. Outside picking would be if we played the D string with a downstroke, G string with an upstroke. Some people find that really difficult. I am very much an inside picking kind of character, or I certainly was for a very long time, so I would embrace economy picking, which meant if I played lines with 3 notes on a string, or 5, or 7, I would sweep when it's time for the string change. But if I played 6 notes, it would look like alternate picking. Does that make sense? So economy picking has an alternate picking component to it. It must have. It must have an alternate picking component. The only difference between alternate picking and economy picking is what happens when we get to an outside string change. Do we sweep, or do we cross the string and come back across it? That's basically the difference. If you want some further advice on this, my good man, we have a course that's available that I will show you in a second. Stay tuned, because I'm going to show you all about that course in a bit. It's available on GI+. Go to licklibrary.com to find it. It is called Picking Strategies Part 1. I've talked about this loads. Part 2 is in the works, but I can say no more about that. Now, if you go to licklibrary.com, you'll be able to get this lesson and literally thousands of others. I mean literally thousands. There's more lessons than you possibly know what to do with, but don't worry, because we don't just have lessons that we're going to throw at you in quantity. We also have one-to-one player support, which means you get one-to-one lessons, you get individual guidance on which lessons to choose, which lessons to work your way through, in which order, based on your personal needs. How do we know that? We talk to you. So you can come and chat to us. We will tell you, hey, listen, sounds like you need this lesson. And if you come back to us and go, yeah, that was it. Go, what's next? Well, this. Then if you go, that was a bit too easy, we'll go, no problem, try this. Or if it was a bit too hard, try this. You go, that's cool, I'm going to put it in a song. Try this song. Likewise, if you go to Lick Library and you sign up, or if you're already a member, you go to GI+, you get access to my course on picking technique, which is Picking Strategies Part 1. Trailer upcoming. But before we do, let's jam on some stuff. My name's Nick Jennison for Guitar Interactive, GI+, licklibrary.com, and all of the above. It has been a lot of fun. This is the Monday Guitar Show. We do this every Monday, 8 p.m. UK time. I'll be back in my little studio next week. Looking forward to seeing you there. Make sure you join us. Set a reminder. Subscribe to whichever channel you happen to be watching on. Give us a thumbs up. You know where to find that button. Share this with your guitar playing friends. We'll give you a notification on YouTube next week if you subscribed and you've hit the bell, and let you know when we're about to go live. We'll see you 8 p.m. UK time. In the meantime, let's play a little bit more of this Top Gun ballad. It's great fun, and I will see you next week. Stick around for a little trailer on Picking Strategies. See you next Monday. Does your picking feel uncoordinated and sometimes you miss notes or fluff transitions from string to string, maybe a little bit like this? When in reality what you want is smooth and easy and transparent feeling picking, a bit like this. Or maybe you've been sold on the idea that there's one specific way that you have to pick on the guitar and everything else is wrong, but that particular cookie cutter approach just doesn't work for you. It feels unnatural. It almost feels like you're fighting your own body to try and make it work. Well, Picking Strategies Part 1 is the course for you. In this course, we explore the many different ways that you can form a full and complete and comprehensive picking approach by examining the various strategies used by some of the greatest pickers of all time. And there are a whole bunch of strategies out there, and I guarantee there is one that is going to work for your preferred picking mechanics, the way you prefer to stand or sit with the guitar, the type of guitar you play, the type of music you play. There is a strategy for you. We're going to explore all of them, and I'm going to show you how you can take a single solo study and play every line within it using all of the 6 picking strategies that we look at in this course. And of course, this entire course is available as part of your GI Plus membership. So if you're not signed up already, what better excuse do you need to sign up today?